What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of In the Workshop. This time around we're going to be doing a spring walkthrough of Eisei-en Bonsai Garden. So this is something that I do on an annual basis here on YouTube, and this particular year we've got a lot of brand new projects that we've been working on in terms of repotting, new trees that have come into the garden, new styling projects as well. So I thought it'd be fun to show you, what those projects look like as the new leaves are starting to emerge in the spring. So without further ado, let's walk through the entrance here and take a look at some of our bonsai. Alright, so the first tree I want to show you here is one that you guys will all probably recognize. This was a tree that we featured last year in an episode of Bonsai U on YouTube. This is the Japanese maple clump that I put together when I was about 16 years old. This year we actually up-potted it into a slightly larger container because I want to grow the trunks and thicken them a little bit more, and also grow out the tops of these trees as well to make it a little bit larger bonsai. But in terms of health, it's really come out looking beautiful this spring, so I'm excited to see how it develops over the next growing season. This tree here is one of my favorites at Eisei-en. This is actually part of my personal collection. It's a tree that I will likely never sell, but it is a chojubai, or Japanese flowering quince. And this tree in the past had been in a koatari, or a very old antique Chinese pot that was over 200 years old. But this year I decided to put it in this slightly larger moko pot. This is actually a modern Chinese pot, but it's got a lot of patina to it. So I actually bought this pot from a buddy of mine, Naoki Mayoka, in Japan. He's my kohai from Fujikawa Koken Nursery. We studied together there for years and years and years, but now he's running his own business in Osaka, and he happened to have this pot with him, and I thought it'd be perfect for this particular tree. So I had him ship it over, and we potted this guy up this spring. Alright, so the next tree I want to show you here is this Rocky Mountain Juniper. You'll probably recognize this from a video I did a year ago for the Bonsai Kunst Hamburg, which is a club over in Germany. They asked me to do a styling demonstration called, I think it was Bonsai in the Extreme, or Extreme Bonsai. What was it? Bonsai in Extreme Locations, that's what it was. So I styled this tree up, totally changed the angle on it. We waited a full year, and then this spring we actually put it in this container right here. So it was a little bit tricky to get it potted on the right angle, but I think it turned out really, really good. I do have a dowel for support here at the base, but we should be able to remove that a little bit later this growing season. So here at Eisei-en, a lot of our trees that we maintain here are actually client trees, whether there are students' trees from our intensive classes or just one-off clients who want us to maintain their plants over the long run to really develop them and turn them into the best possible bonsai. So this tree right behind me here, this Japanese maple, is one of those plants that we're maintaining for a client. It's a spectacular bonsai that was obviously imported from Japan a number of years back. It's got a really large, beautiful nabari on it, incredibly small natural leaves on it as well, and the ramification is absolutely gorgeous in the winter. But I'm really excited to see it actually flush out this spring. We've already done the initial bud pinching, and we're coming up on doing some leaf removal on this tree as well as we get into the hotter months. So it's always a pleasure to have stuff like this at the nursery, even though it may only be for a short period of time. It just makes the garden look absolutely awesome, I think. Okay, so the next tree I want to show you here is this Kishu Shimpaku grafted on Sierra Juniper trunk. Now this, again, you'll probably recognize from a Bonsai U video from last year. I styled this guy up, did the initial work and structural bone setup on the tree, and then this spring we were able to fit it in this awesome Reiho container from Tokoname. So this is a container that I imported actually last year, but it was too late to pot the tree up at that point. So we waited till this spring, got it in this container. I think it looks really, really cool. So this is going to obviously fill in over this coming growing season and look like a completely different bonsai by the time we get to fall. So I'll give you guys an update on this tree as we move into fall so you can see how it progresses from year to year. Okay, so in the first part of the garden here, this is kind of our upper display area. You can see we've got our main staple bonsai here. These are trees that obviously I've featured in many videos in the past, but they're finally all back up on their whiskey barrel display stands. So it's always a really good feeling to have the trees off the ground, back up on the benches, back up on the stands. It makes the garden feel alive again. So I'm super happy to see this. Everything is starting to green up at this point as well. And it makes me feel alive. I don't know about you guys, but spring season is by far my favorite season of the year. So of course we've got Rocky Mountain Juniper here, we've got our Sierra Juniper down here, we've got a couple of really cool Scots pines that I've been working on for a number of years, and then in the corner we have our huge one-seed juniper. This is a tree that was only collected I think about 3, maybe 4 years ago, so we've really managed to transform it from a raw piece of material to an exhibition-worthy tree in an incredibly short amount of time. But just wanted to kind of spin around here and show you the trees that we have in our upper garden. So up here in the upper garden as well, I've got a really cool smaller project that we just put together a few days ago. This is a one-seed juniper, very small one-seed juniper. It was actually growing next to a larger one-seed kind of in the same root ball, and we managed to separate this tree out. I was able to plant it on this really cool lace rock here, and it's got kind of its own little pocket off to the side there, and there's another pocket in the front here that actually holds a little bit of water as well. So it's got a really cool effect. It had a tiny root ball, so we were able to kind of put this project together like this. But I'm looking forward to getting through this growing season, letting it recuperate and recover from this process, and then this coming fall, we're gonna style this tree up. But I mean, look at that deadwood. That's just incredible right there. That fan, you know, very thin, very wispy, just absolutely gorgeous. You can see all the way through it as well. Here's another one of our projects here that's also planted on a rock. This is actually a Rocky Mountain Juniper that was grafted with Itoigawa Shimpaku foliage about 2 years ago. So we managed to remove all of the original rocky foliage, and now all we're left with is that Itoigawa foliage, and it's really starting to fill in. Last year I actually split the trunks here right down the middle to pull them apart and give it a little bit more of an interesting look. And then this spring we planted it on another lace rock here. So this is a really cool lace rock. It's very flat along the bottom, so the water really runs off, drains very quickly. But I think it gives it a really cool look, as if it's kind of up on a mountainside, overhanging a cliff, you know, barely hanging on to life. I think it's got a really cool effect. So down in our lower garden here at the nursery, we've got some of our big one-seed juniper projects that we potted up this spring. We actually had to enlist one of our students, Edwin Roebling from West Tennessee, to come in and actually help us pull these guys out of their massive root balls and then get them in these containers here. So these trees were collected about 1.5 years ago, actually right smack dab in the middle of the summer, in the Four Corners area of New Mexico on private land, obviously with permission. As a matter of fact, the landowner actually dug the trees up himself, so I guess technically he didn't have to get permission. But in any case, he dug these trees up, brought them over here to Eisei-en. We maintained them in their original wrapped root balls for 1.5 years, and then we just potted them up in these containers about 2 weeks ago at this point. So they seem to be recuperating really well, but we're gonna let them run through the entire growing season this year, and then this fall we'll style these guys up. So be on the lookout for the styling videos of these. Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode of In the Workshop. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing some of our new projects here at Eisei-en. We are going to be starting up our intensive classes again this fall, so if you're interested in signing up for those, definitely check out my website. I'll put a link in the description down below. You can sign up for those. If you want to come by and visit the garden as well, we're looking to reopen everything in August or September of this year, so I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you guys in person in the near future. But until then, take care.